Let's get it done.
In Copenhagen.
In Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
In Copenhagen.
In Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
In Copenhagen.
Actually, the truth is that the Copenhagen deadline already works.
Barack Obama, he used the phrase "a planet in peril" and the fierce urgency of now repeatedly in his election campaign.
President Obama plans to travel to Copenhagen next week to announce U.S. plans to reduce our emissions 17% by 2020 and 83% by 2050.
The doors have opened on the summit, described as the most important international gathering since the Second World War.
For the next 2 weeks, Copenhagen will be Copenhagen.
The momentum for success in Copenhagen has been growing.
12 years after their last attempt.
Time is up.
The world's biggest climate meeting in history is underway.
At the heart of the deal must be a settlement between the wealthy countries and the developing world.
We need the political leadership at this time. We have technology, we have...
Prime Minister Gordon Brown is expected to argue for new technology.
Financing.
British banks brace for a super tax that could cost £1 billion.
Because the IPCC has assessed its costs to be modest.
And we need to know what major developing countries will do to limit the growth of their emissions. We will need a list of ambitious emission reduction targets on the part of industrialized countries.
From the front line of climate change.
Today, some 15,000 delegates from 192 nations gathered in Copenhagen.
Then I'm sort of the president for all 192 countries.
Could you mention a few of your priorities as a commissioner?
Yes, I could, but now I would first like to see what the president of the Commission, Barroso, will come forward with.
The time for restating well-known positions is past.
And even if we will know within a few days what kind of area I will get, then basically I will focus 100% on COP15 now and up till December 19th, and then afterwards I will speak about what... A global deal will drive job creation. A global deal will drive competitive advantage. A global deal...
33% would not exceed 3% of the global GDP.
Greenpeace wants the Copenhagen summit to deliver a fair, ambitious and binding deal.
The world is depositing hope with you for a short while in the history of mankind.
15,000 delegates and journalists are expected to attend the United Nations Climate Conference at the Bella Center in Copenhagen over the next 2 weeks.
The conference has been met with some skepticism after emails hacked from a British university's climate unit were leaked to the public. The emails appeared to show leading scientists discussing ways to protect global warming research from public scrutiny.
Well, it does look bad, of course. I mean, this correspondence looks very bad.
The contributing scientists.
At least 15 key sections of the science chapter had been deleted. In 1991, senior scientists at the Danish Meteorological Institute decided to compile a record of sunspots in the 20th century and compare it with the temperature record. What they found was an incredibly close correlation between what the sun was doing and changes in temperature on Earth. Solar activity, they found, rose sharply to 1940, fell back for 4 decades until the 1970s, and then rose again after that.
When we saw this correlation between the temperature and solar activity or sunspot cycle lengths, then people said to us, okay, it can be just a coincidence. So how can we prove that it's not just a coincidence? Well, one obvious thing is to have a longer time series or different time series. Then we went back in time.
So Professor Friis Christiansen and his colleagues examined 400 years of astronomical records to compare sunspot activity against temperature variation. Once again, they found that variations in solar activity were intimately linked to temperature variation on Earth. It was the sun, it seemed, not carbon dioxide or anything else, that was driving changes in the climate. In a way, it's not surprising. The sun affects us directly, of course, when it sends down its heat. But we now know the sun also affects us indirectly through clouds. Clouds have a powerful cooling effect, but how are they formed? In the early 20th century, scientists discovered that the Earth was constantly being bombarded by subatomic particles. These particles, which they called cosmic rays, originated, it was believed, from exploding supernovae far beyond our solar system. When the particles coming down meet water vapor rising up from the sea, they form water droplets and make clouds. But when the sun is more active and the solar wind is strong, fewer particles get through and fewer clouds are formed. Just how powerful this effect was became clear only recently when an astrophysicist, Professor Chevelle, decided to compare his own record of cloud-forming cosmic rays with the temperature record created by a geologist, Professor Jan Weitzer, going back 600 million years. What they found was that when cosmic rays went up, the temperature went down. When cosmic rays went down, the temperature went up. Clouds and the Earth's climate were very closely linked. To see how close, you just flip the lines.
We just compared the graphs, just put them one upon the other, and it was just amazing. Jan Weitzer looked at me and says, you know, we have very explosive data here.
I've never seen such vastly different records coming together so beautifully to show